Hey everyone, it's Zeraldo here, and today I'm talking to you about the new Legion class, the Soul Cleaver class. Now this comes in two versions, and they each have a slightly different name. You have your standard Soul Cleaver class, which you get for adventure coins, 2,000 of them to be precise, and you have your Exalted Soul Cleaver, and that's for paying 2,000 Legion tokens. Now, I'm just going to clarify, to do both, you've got to be a member of the Undead Legion. You've got to have completed the quests that you join. You can't just use an AC shortcut, you've got to actually be part of the Legion. So if you're wanting this class but aren't part of the Legion, you're going to have to pay 1,200 for the Undead Warrior armor, do some quests, and then pay another 2,000 for the class. So I'll just show you how to get the class and where to get it from now. To get the new class, you're going to want to join the Underworld and then walk over to Dages Soul Forge. It's there where you can get the class. So it's just under a shops in the merge shop, and it's the class here for 2,000 Legion tokens. Now that's going to take you a while, a lot of questing to do, but if you want the class, that's what you're going to have to do. Alternatively, you can use the 2,000 adventure coin shortcut to get it, and that will cost you 2,000 adventure coins, as is obvious. And you do that from the class shop in Battlon. Same with all the other adventure coin shortcuts. And there we have it. So this is the Exalted Soul Cleaver class. For enhancements, most of the moves here go for magical and physical combinations, or something along those lines. So I just recommend luck instead of hybrid. For your ore weapon, I'd probably recommend some health vamp again, perhaps spiral carve, but for me I'm going with health vamp. The passives over here are pretty interesting. You take 10% more damage, so if an enemy normally does 10 damage to you, you'll be taking 11. Now this seems really dumb, but it sort of makes sense, and you'll see why when I actually start using the class. And you deal 10% more damage with all attacks, so you're doing more damage. The passive seems to be, the rank 10 passive, seems to be a massive damage strike, but I think it's got a bit of a cost. I don't have time to get this to rank 10, but I'll clarify when I can. Also, just be aware, this is like the Berserker mana regen model, where the lower your health, the more MP you get back for damage and crits. So that's how you regen. And as you can see, it's more of a warrior sort of build for the crit and haste and evasion. And so this is what it's like with level 50 luck enhancements. Now the first move here is half physical, half magical. It's cost 15 mana and has a 5-second cooldown. It's called Soul Rend. Now this is a lot like Blood for Blood on the Berserker class, and I can't remember what the move's called, but Blood Titan also has a move similar to this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to attack this Astral Ephemerite and show you how much damage it does progressively. This is a relatively stable weapon with damage range, and just show you how much it does as your health gets lower. Now, I will die, but that's the point. See, it's already doing 500, significantly more than your auto attack. The crits are getting close to 2k. Now I'll just keep attacking him. Now because the less health you have, the more damage this does, and the less health you have, the more MP you get back. It sort of makes sense now that that one rank 10 passive is that you do you take 10% more damage. So if you can stay here, I mean, look at that, 700 non-crit, consistently, 800, now if you can actually keep it like that. Okay, so now that I've died, I'll go on to explaining the next two moves, because these are the sort of moves you want to use to juggle to stop yourself from dying. First move is a heal, Soul Leech. It drains life directly from your target's soul and weakens them, so they do less damage, and it weakens them. So this is the sort of move you want to be using alongside this a lot. Also, you've got your Soul Snare, which is a good stun for with a 35-second cooldown, and it costs 30 MP. It It's a guaranteed stun. You do stun them for 4 seconds regardless of what happens. So there you go. It's probably not the thing you want to start first, but I was just demonstrating. You want to wait till your health really gets low, probably about half. If you can sort of juggle yourself at half health and then stay between a quarter and half, that's probably ideal because that gives you a bit of room if something goes wrong. It really is up to you. Now, I'm not quite sure how much damage it takes off. I think it's about 40% damage it takes off. Maybe close to half it, yeah, I'd say about 40%. So really you just use these 2 moves to stop dying. Now the last move is pretty cool because it's one of the best damage buffs I've seen in the game. In fact, I think it is. And yep, I think it is. Paladin Slayer, which is the benchmark here, gives a 60% damage boost, while this gives a 75% damage boost. Now this also increases your chance to hit, although they haven't given us any numbers, so not only do you do a lot more damage, but you're more likely to hit. The downside is it actually takes away a bit of health. Paladin Slayer's move also gives 30% to your dodge rate, and that's something that's also really cool to have. Now when you think back to this, at worst we were able to hit 800 as a non-crit. When you add 75% to that, if you're that low in health that is, that jumps up to about 1,400. That'll bring any crits well above 3k at that point if you're using full luck. It'll also increase your heal because your heal is based on the damage. So you should, in theory, be able to make any damage dealt from that back. Now I'll just demonstrate. There you go, it's only about 300. And if you've got Soul Steal, well then that's already a lot better. As you can see, it affects everything, your auto attack, your moves. Now, I'm not going to show you how powerful it gets because I think you can sort of get the idea. Actually, no, I think I will. Scratch that. Now, a lot of people are expecting something incredibly overpowered. I think this is quite a powerful class. It's definitely not one you want to go soloing with. But to put it this way, it's having no trouble with these monsters here. And these guys have been rescaled. There you go. Still got a fair amount of health left, and that's the crit I'm getting. And I've made all the health I lost from that initial strike back. But yeah, it requires a bit of skill. It's having no trouble with these guys. You've just got to be a bit more observant, watch your health, and know when to use your heal, which weakens your opponents, and know when to use your stun, which outright blocks damage. Now, in terms of heal and stun, I would recommend using the stun first, so you can get another strike of this in at high damage before healing, and then losing damage on this move. So that's my recommendation. And I think that gives you a relatively good idea. We'll just do one. There you go. You can do a 4k crit with this class if you time it right. And I'm certain there are ways to get that higher. As always, my enhancements are only guides. Now you see that was because I was risking it, not because it's a bad class. There are always ways to probably sneak out a bit more crit. There are potions and other cool ways to do that. These are just recommendations to get the class working well, not necessarily at full potential. So a lot of people are going to ask this question: is it worth the 2000 Legion tokens? Now, in my personal opinion, yes, because I think it's a pretty solid class. The moves work well together when you know how to use them, and I think it's just powerful. It's not completely overpowered like other classes, but it's good, it's solid. I think it certainly holds its ground. Now the reason I think it's worth 2000 specifically is because you've got a class, just the armor of this without the moves, that's worth 1000, and I think classes are worth infinitely more than armors. So on that basis alone, I think it's worth it. I think it's a good class, and I don't really think you can fault it terribly. If you don't want to pay your large sum of Legion tokens and rather would get armors or weapons with them, that's fine. Then buy the adventure coin version. Is it worth the adventure coins? Personally, I never buy adventure coin versions of classes, but that's just me. Some people don't have the time, and that's perfectly fine. But personally, I do think it's a good class, and I think it's worth it. Although, if you're really wanting just raw damage, there are other classes you could buy for your ACs, but just in terms of a bit of thinking and strategy, this is really up there. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll say that this is best in groups. It's not good for soloing bosses, though you can solo farm quite happily. You might want to consider having a healer, but a healer could be detrimental to your first move. PvP, I could see this working, seeing as it does have a guaranteed stun, you've got a heal, and you've got a huge damage output with extra hit chance, and that's going to come in handy against rogues and the like. So PvP, I reckon this is a viable class. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you now know whether you're going to go Legion tokens or adventure coins or what you're going to do. Just remember that there is no difference other than name between the Exalted Soul Cleaver and the Soul Cleaver, other than one's adventure coins and one's not. So until next time, see you later.